Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to another video of Be the Best DFS Daily Fantasy Sports Talk. My name is Bradford Best, and today is Thursday, September 22nd, 2016, and I'll be going over my lineup strategy for Fanduel and Draftkings NFL slate for this upcoming Week 3 in the NFL. I apologize in advance about my voice right now. I kind of been under the weather, so my voice may not be as clear as I would like it to be because I'm kind of feeling bad. But quick recap on Week 2. Week 2 was a good week for me, a winning week. You know, count the wins as a blessing. I didn't break the bank, but overall it was an improvement from Week 1. And that's my goal, is to improve each week. My top scorer on the main slates on FanDuel was like 122 points. The Cam Newton and Greg Olsen stat worked out well for me. And my top scorer on DraftKings for the main slate was like 141 points. I was able to sneak in the winnings on both sites. So I'm definitely thankful for that. Again, counting it as a blessing and looking forward to improving on this week, on Week 3. You know, I feel that if I just show improvement each week, you know, ultimately I'll get to where I want to get. So enough about Week 2. Today is a new day. You know, it's a new week in football, a new opportunity to be great, and a new opportunity to be the best. So to start off for this week, you know, I like to start my lineups for the NFL with quarterback and wide receiver stacks. And one of my favorite quarterback wide receiver stacks for this week on FanDuel is Andrew Luck and T.Y. Hilton. Andrew Luck, 8,700, T.Y. Hilton, 7,400. Now, Andrew Luck, he had a bad game Week 2, but he was going up against the Super Bowl champions in Denver and one of the top defenses in the league. So that's understandable. But let's not forget his Week 1 performance. Week 1, he had 35.5 fantasy points. He passed for 385 yards and 4 touchdowns, and it was at home. So this week, he's returning home to Indianapolis, which I feel is an advantage for him. And according to FanDuel, the Chargers are 29th against the pass. So that's another advantage for him. And the reason that I like T.Y. Hilton a lot, as you know, Dante Moncrief, one of their other receivers, he's out 4 to 6 weeks. So with him being out with the shoulder injury, that's going to increase the value for everyone else. And I feel that T.Y. Hilton should be the receiver that value increases the most due to the Dante Moncrief injury. So that's my favorite stack, you know, to start building my lineup around. I really feel confident that Andrew Luck, you know, can bounce back and have a strong performance. And I think that's a good way to start off the lineup. Now, I'm going to talk about my favorite wide receivers now that I got my favorite stack out the way. One of my favorite wide receivers for this week is going to be Dez Bryant for the Dallas Cowboys for 7,900. Now, we all know that Dez Bryant, he had a horrible Week 1. I believe he had 1 catch for 8 yards. It was horrible. But last week, he did pretty good. 12 targets, 7 catches for 102 yards. He didn't find the end zone, but we know what type of player Dez Bryant is. An aggressive player. He wants to get in the end zone. Very competitive. So after Week 2, you know, having those 12 targets against the Redskins and having over 100 receiving yards, coming back home against the Chicago Bears, you know, they coming off a short week playing Monday Night Football. They let the rookie Carson Wentz look pretty good on him. So I believe that, you know, this third game of the season, I think Dak Prescott is going to find Dez Bryant in the end zone, and I expect Bryant to have a big game. So he's definitely one of my favorite receivers for Week 3. Another receiver I like that may not be on a lot of people's radars. If I ask you who's number 1 in the NFL in receptions, who would you think? A lot of people would think Julio Jones or Antonio Brown or Odell Beckham Jr. or any of the other top wide receivers. But the answer is Jarvis Landry. Jarvis Landry for the Miami Dolphins. He had 17 catches this year, leads the NFL, and he had a great game in Week 2 against a respectable defense in the New England Patriots at New England. His game log for last week, 13 targets, 10 receptions for 135 yards. He didn't get in the end zone, but, to put up those type of numbers against a Bill Belichick defense, I think is definitely something that should be looked at and recognized. The Miami Dolphins are 0-2. This would be their first home game. They started off their first 2 games on the road at Seattle and then at New England. 2 tough places to play on the road. Now they're playing the Cleveland Browns team, their home opener of the season. I definitely feel that Jarvis Landry is in a good spot, to have a good fantasy performance this week. And again, it's proven in the statistics. He leads the NFL in receptions for this year. Receiving yards, he's 10th, 194. Yeah, it's only 2 weeks, but just to be in the top categories at the wide receiver position, he's definitely someone that will go overlooked a lot. So I definitely think Jarvis Landry is an excellent play at the wide receiver position for tournaments and GPPs. Other wide receivers worth mentioning for Week 3. Definitely like Kelvin Benjamin, but I would pick him with caution because I believe that the Minnesota Vikings have a decent defense. Now, I know Cam Newton is the MVP, and they had a great week too. But the Minnesota Vikings on Sunday Night Football, they kind of contained Aaron Rodgers, who I also feel is a great quarterback. So I understand, why people would look at Kelvin Benjamin and Cam Newton and Greg Olsen this week as far as stacking them up again. But I'm kind of leaning towards fading the Panthers offense because, based off how they performed last week, their ownership is going to be up. A lot of people going to be on Cam Newton and Kelvin Benjamin and Greg Olsen. And like I said, the Minnesota Vikings, they are a 2-0 team, and they do have a decent defense. So I understand if you pick Kelvin Benjamin, but I would do it with caution because, the Minnesota Vikings defense aren't just like a cupcake matchup. Other wide receivers that I like for this week, let me see. I think Mike Wallace for the Baltimore Ravens is someone you should definitely consider, 6,500. At first, I thought Week 1 was a fluke, but he's done it 2 weeks in a row. He's found his way in the end zone. He has three receiving touchdowns on the season. So, going up against Jacksonville, I'm going to look at it real quick. Jacksonville is 8th versus the pass, so that may be of some concern. But Mike Wallace, and with that combination with Joe Flacco, throwing the deep ball and Mike Wallace's speed, and he's averaging 17.9 fantasy points per game on FanDuel through the first 2 weeks. I believe he's definitely someone you should look at the receiver position. And back to Andrew Luck. With that Dante Moncrief injury, Phillip Dorsett, he probably moves into the number 2 slot as far as wide receivers. So I think he definitely could be a good value play at receiver. And Dorsett, he's 6,000 on FanDuel. I think that's about all I have at the wide receiver position. Again, just to go over that again, excluding my Andrew Luck and T.Y. Hilton stack, my favorite 2 wide receivers are definitely Dez Bryant and Jarvis Landry. And I kind of like Kelvin Benjamin because he is the number 1 receiver. But at the same time, I have some respect for Minnesota's defense. So I'm going to move on to the next position, running back. Running back, I think, is very, very important this week. Coming into Week 3 this season, there have been some key injuries at the running back position, which opens up a lot of possible value plays. You got Adrian Peterson out for 3 or 4 months with his knee injury in Minnesota. You have Arian Foster, he's doubtful to play. I forgot what type of injury he has. You also have Jonathan Stewart. You know, he's out. And those 3 injuries, there's probably some more, opens up a lot of key value plays. So at the running back position, there's one player that, you know, that I really like. He's a lock in my lineups for FanDuel as well as DraftKings. And that's going to be Melvin Gordon for the San Diego Chargers. 7,100 on FanDuel. And the reason I like Melvin Gordon is mainly because of the injury. That's another guy, Danny Woodhead for the San Diego Chargers. He's out on injury reserve. And, and Woodhead, he's a high usage running back. He's a running back that Phillip Rivers looked to for a lot of passing targets. And with Woodhead being out, you know, a lot of that usage, I feel, is going to go to Melvin Gordon. And the opponent they're playing, the Indianapolis Colts, let's not forget what Theo Riddick, how he went off on the Colts in Indianapolis in Week 1. So I kind of look for those parallels. You know, if Theo Riddick can have a great game against the Colts in Indianapolis, I feel that Melvin Gordon has the potential to do the same thing. And with Woodhead being out, also Keenan Allen being out, like I mentioned last week, a lot of people on the Chargers, their value increases. So Melvin Gordon, he's my top running back, you know, for Week 3 at 7,100. Other running backs that I like DeMarco Murray for the Tennessee Titans. I thought he was going to be going on the downslide when he went to Philadelphia last year. But this season, you know, he's been playing good. He had 18 fantasy points Week 2, 20.2 fantasy points in Week 1. And then another thing, the Oakland Raiders, their defense is just horrible. So, you know, they're overall 32 in defense and they 32nd against the pass, 21st against the rush. So I definitely think DeMarco Murray is a good option if you can afford him. The 3 running backs that's over 8,000, D'Angelo Williams, C.J. Anderson, and David Johnson, I just don't feel the need to pay up for them. Again, I think Melvin Gordon is my favorite at 7,100, and I think, like, especially D'Angelo Williams, that's just too much to pay. He very well may have a good game, but that's entirely too much to pay for a running back, in my opinion. Also, LaShawn McCoy, I think he could be an interesting play. They had some extra days off, you know, because they played Thursday night football in Week 2. He's averaging 13 fantasy points per game, so he could possibly have a good game. But basically, once you pick your top running back, I think you have to. It's very important that you find that value play, you know, based off of all the injuries. And I'm just gonna go over some of the value play running backs for Week 3. So you got, oh yeah, Doug Martin is injured. I forgot that. So you got Sims for Tampa Bay for 6,300 because Doug Martin's out. So Sims, he could be a sleeper play. Carolina, you have 2 options with Jonathan Stewart being out. You have Fonzie Whitaker for 6,300 and you have Artis Payne for 4,800. With Adrian Peterson out, it opens up 2 value plays in Minnesota. Asiata at 4,600 and McKinnon for 5,300. They announced that McKinnon is going to be the starter, but I'm not sure if that really counts for anything. And then with Arian Foster, you know, being doubtful for Week 3, it opens up value in Miami. A running back named AJ for 5,700 and also Drake for 5,900. And then another injury that I looked at when I was, you know, kind of making my lineup, Rashad Jennings for the New York Giants. He has an injury to his hand. They say he may wear a cast. But if he's limited, Shane Vereen for the New York Giants for 5,200 is also a great value play. In my opinion, I feel that Asiata probably would be the highest owned value play, and he may be deservingly so. So, because in 2014 he did play really good when Adrian Peterson, was out with that suspension, for that child abuse little thing. So I think Asiata, really because of his price also being below 5,000, I think he's a great play, especially for cash games. But for tournaments, he may be highly owned. I know McKinnon is starting, but I'm not confident in him. He's a small back, and I feel like when they get to the red zone, Asiata would be more likely to get the touches. And also, we have to remember, Carolina is a good defense, a great defense, good linebackers in Luke Kuechly, and I think his name is Thomas Davis. So, yeah, there is value in the Minnesota running backs, but just pick them with caution because Carolina does have a good defense. And on the Carolina side, between Artis Payne and who is Fonzie Whitaker, I think I probably would go with Artis Payne if I had to choose between the two. It's a $1,500 price difference. So basically, I'm not going to spend too much time on these value plays at running back. I just wanted to point out pay attention, there's a lot of injuries at the running back position. Do your research and pick the best value play at running back to bolster up your lineup at other positions. So that's my take on running back. Again, excluding the value plays, Melvin Gordon, he's my favorite play. I also like DeMarco Murray for the Tennessee Titans. Now, quickly, I want to talk about the quarterback position. Again, I said my favorite quarterback wide receiver stack is Andrew Luck and T.Y. Hilton. But there are like 2 or 3 other quarterbacks that I feel are in good positions to have good games this week and are great plays for tournaments. As of now, I only have 2 lineups right now. And in my second lineup, I got Ryan Tannehill for the Miami Dolphins for, what's his price? $7,400. I just was impressed with how Tannehill performed in the second half versus New England Patriots in week 2. Let me look at it real quick. So, sorry, just kind of reading through this information. I'm going to look at his game log. But he had 387 passing yards in week 2. Again, like I mentioned earlier, the Dolphins, this is their first home game. They're 0-2. I'm sure they're motivated for a win. Tannehill, I think he's just a great tournament play for this week. The combo of him and Jarvis Landry, that's who I have in my second lineup, and I feel really, really good about it. Like, I do have Andrew Luck because, I do want to like a safer play, but for tournaments and GPPs where it's better to take more risks sometimes, I think Ryan Tannehill is great. I expect him to pass for at least 300 yards and maybe at least 2 touchdowns. So definitely, Tannehill is someone else I like at quarterback. And I'm debating on it right now, but I'm probably going to make a third lineup. The more lineups you have, the better chance you have to, win a lot of money. And if I had to pick a third quarterback, I'm not sure how many people are going to think of this guy, but Marcus Mariota for the Tennessee Titans. And it's mainly because of the matchup. Mariota, he's 7,700. But the Oakland Raiders, they're one of the worst defenses in the league through the first 2 weeks of the season. They've given up a total of over 1,000 yards to the Saints and the Falcons through the first 2 weeks of the season. They're 32nd overall according to FanDuel, and they're 32nd versus the pass. Mariota, looking at his game log, he showed some progress from week 1 in week 2. Let's see. No fumbles, 17.6 fantasy points. But it's really not Mariota what makes me like this play so much. It's the Oakland Raiders defense. So definitely, I think Mariota is a great play at the quarterback position for tournaments and GPP. he would definitely probably be my third option behind Andrew Luck and Ryan Tannehill. And if I had to come up with a fourth option for tournaments, I really like Dak Prescott. The way the Bears performed on Monday night kind of just opened up my eyes to how bad of a team they are. And the Dallas Cowboys being at home this week, I feel like Dak Prescott and Dez Bryant can have a good game. So I think if you want to be super sneaky, Dak Prescott and Dez Bryant could be an option for tournaments and GPPs this week. So those are the main quarterbacks that I like, for week 3. Andrew Luck, Ryan Tannehill, Marcus Mariota, and Dak Prescott as a very, very sneaky option. Now, I want to quickly talk about some of the top quarterbacks. Cam Newton, his price tag, a high price tag of $9,200. He's the MVP. He had a great week 2. He has the highest points per game, fantasy point per game average of all the quarterbacks this week. I'm not going to tell you not to pick Cam Newton, but I just think you can find better options and save some money in other places. And again, I just think the Minnesota Vikings is a defense that you don't want to pick on. I think they're a respectable defense. They contained Aaron Rodgers. And I'm not saying Cam's going to get shut down, but I just don't know if he's worth the price tag of $9,200, for this week. Other quarterbacks. Oh, another thing I wanted to mention. For the main slates for week 3, FanDuel don't include the Monday night games. Just like DraftKings, it doesn't include the Monday night games. So these main slates are all about just Sunday. So that's why I'm not talking about, the Falcons or the Saints at all, because they play on Monday night. Ben Roethlisberger, I'm really not feeling him on the road. If I had to, let me talk about this guy, Phillip Rivers. I think he could also be a decent option. The Colts, their defense isn't a defense that they're banged up. They have some injuries. The game is in a dome stadium, so I definitely like Phillip Rivers. The Colts, they're 30th defense overall. They're 25th against the pass, so that game could likely be a shootout. There's so many different options, that Phillip Rivers can throw it to, whether it's Tyrell Williams, Antonio Gates, Travis Benjamin. So I'm not sure who you would stack with Phillip Rivers, but I definitely think Phillip Rivers is another good option. And let me just backtrack on my favorite quarterbacks now that I think about it. Andrew Luck, Ryan Tannehill. I'll put Phillip Rivers third, Marcus Mariota fourth, and then Dak Prescott fifth. I can't believe I forgot about that. Phillip Rivers, he's in a great matchup. So definitely, I think he could be a good tournament and GPP play for week 3. I'll quickly talk about the tight end position. Tight end position, it looks really thin to me for this week. Greg Olsen, he's the best one on there. His price tag is $7,800. He's definitely in line to have a pretty decent game. He's going to be very popular, so I definitely understand why you can pick him. He's the best one on the slate. But if you want to be a little different and go somewhere different other than Greg Olsen, I think the second best tight end would be Delanie Walker for the Tennessee Titans. The only thing that concerns me about Walker, they say he's dealing with a hamstring injury. He missed practice, so that's very concerning because the hamstring, it affects your running. So if you do pick Delanie Walker, just be aware that he's dealing with a hamstring injury. So after Walker, the only thing that I see is both of the tight ends for the Indianapolis Colts, Jack Doyle and Dwayne Allen. Jack Doyle, 5,000. Dwayne Allen, 6,100. For me, I think I'll probably go with Doyle, not because he's a better player, but mainly because of the salary of 5,000. It'll give me more flexibility at other positions. But other than that, like I said, in my opinion, the tight end look really ugly. If you can afford Greg Olsen, definitely use him, but it's going to come at a premium price. My suggestion would be to just pay down that tight end and choose one of the Colts tight ends, either Dwayne Allen or Jack Doyle. And for FanDuel, I'm not really going to talk about kicker, too much, but I think Justin Tucker is a good play, as well as Bailey for the Cowboys, two of my favorite plays. And for team defenses on FanDuel, I love the Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks for 5,400, mainly because they're at home and they play good defense at home. They didn't allow any touchdowns against the Rams in week 2. They played good defense in week 1 at home against the Miami Dolphins. Had 5 sacks. So I like the Seattle Seahawks, and I also like the Miami Dolphins at home. The Dolphins, they're playing against the Browns. And some key notes about the Cleveland Browns. They're starting a rookie quarterback. So a rookie quarterback starting on the road. And also their rookie receiver, Coleman, he's out. So, with those two factors, I really expect the Miami Dolphins to be dominant. So I expect their defense to be dominant as well. So the Dolphins would be a second option for me behind the Seattle Seahawks. And let's see. Quickly, I'll just talk about, DraftKings very, very quickly because the pricing is different. So the strategies are different. As I was doing my DraftKings lineup, I noticed that there's a lot of value. Basically, at wide receiver, here's some of the value plays that I've seen. Travis Benjamin for 5,200, Mike Wallace for 5,000, Shepard for 5,500, Cruz for 4,700 for the Giants, Tyrell Williams for 4,300 for the Chargers, and Phillip Dorsett for the Colts for 4,400. Value running backs on DraftKings. Asiata, 3,000, great value for the Minnesota Vikings. Isaiah Crowell for 4,700. Fonzie Whitaker for the Carolina Panthers for 3,800. Shane Vereen for 3,700. Ajay for the Miami Dolphins for 4,000. And McKinnon for 3,800. But I definitely think Asiata is a great value play on DraftKings. And then that quarterback, similar to on FanDuel, some value plays. Tannehill for 6,200. Rivers for 6,700. And Mariota for 5,900, and Dak Prescott for 57,000. And the tight ends, both of the Colts tight ends, I think they're great value plays. Allen is 3,800, and then Jack Doyle is at a great value price of 2,500 on DraftKings. So basically, that's my lineup strategy for tournaments and GPPs for week 3 for FanDuel and DraftKings. I know a lot of you guys out here, we don't have like thousands of dollars, so we're only limited to like maybe 1 or 2 lineups. If you're only making one lineup, I think the Andrew Luck and T.Y. Hilton stack is the safe play. I think that's the best play to do. But again, if you can make multiple lineups, I like building my lineup around Luck. I like Tannehill. I like Phillip Rivers. And Mariota and Dak Prescott, I like them as like sleeper plays, to build your lineup around the quarterback position. And another thing I wanted to point out, Dez Bryant, he's my #1 wide receiver for week 3. Dez Bryant and Jarvis Landry. I'm definitely going to use both of those guys in my lineups on FanDuel and DraftKings. And Melvin Gordon, he's a lot for me at the running back position. I just feel that, his usage is going to go up with Woodhead being out, Keenan Allen being out. And I think they said Antonio Gates, he's dealing with a hamstring issue. So I expect Melvin Gordon to have a very, very big game. I also forgot to mention Theo Riddick. I don't like his matchup, But Abdullah, he's on the injured reserve. So Theo Riddick, he's going to be the primary back. He could also be a good sleeper play. Just don't know how well he'll do on the road at Green Bay in Lambeau Field. But I'm going to put this video to a close. As always, I thank everyone who's taking the time out to view this video. I'm thankful for everyone who subscribed to this YouTube channel. Up to like 100 subscribers is definitely a blessing, and I thank y'all for subscribing to this channel. And definitely just search through all the social media outlets, hashtag Be The Best DFS, you know, and be sure to like check me out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course on this YouTube channel. Again, like I said at the beginning of the video, my objective and my goal for this NFL season is to improve each week. You know, because if I'm constantly improving, I can't help but fall into winnings. And week 2 was definitely some progress. So I'm looking to get over that 120-point mark on FanDuel, and hopefully getting over that 140-point mark on DraftKings. And hopefully it results, you know, me winning some money. And hopefully y'all can win some money as well. If you like this video, please subscribe. Definitely leave comments. Leave your suggestions. If you have questions, just reach out to me. Just trying to get better at this DFS thing, and hopefully, you know, be on the level where I can win consistently. Again, thank you everybody for watching, and I'll leave y'all with what I always leave y'all with. If y'all playing the MLB tonight, or if you're playing the football this weekend, try to be the best. All right, I'm out.